there, sassy tarot nerds. I'm super, super excited to share this deck with you. It just came in today, but it's not an unboxing. I have looked at this, I have shuffled it, I have enjoyed it, and I'm really anxious to share it with you. So I'm even like doing this during my lunch break because I'm super excited to share it with you. I think it's gorgeous. It's a beautiful deck. So this is the Shimmering Veil Tarot by Scylla Conway, and it is her new deck. Now, I don't have, she's probably most well known now for the Devas of Creation, which is an oracle deck that I've always thought was beautiful, but I don't have. And I sort of have always wanted it, but never pulled the trigger. I do have her recently issued Intuitive Tarot, so she's also known for this, which is another beautiful deck. This was originally a mass market deck that she has self-published. She published it, under her own sort of publishing print company, and it's a beautiful deck. It's one that I don't use as much as I should, but it's a really beautiful work of art. And so I have a walkthrough of this one, but I just wanted to sort of contextualize things for you. So fling it that way. This is her new deck. I can't even say enough about how beautiful it is. It is gorgeous. If you have her reissued Intuitive Tarot, it is the same packaging and cardstock, and so you're familiar with it. It's a little, it's big, but I have found that it shuffles for me, that I can riffle shuffle it sideways. Just, gorgeous. I will say, whenever I do get packages from overseas lately, this comes from the UK, the corners always end up bent, and that, that happened on my my Gasmont Marseille too. The corners just got a little, I think the shipping just sort of takes a beating. So it's a beautiful deck. It is sort of a meaty, deck of cards, but like I said, I can shuffle it. This is absolutely going to have to be edged somehow. Kelly from The Truth and Story has her Devas of Creation edged in multiple colors, if I remember correctly, and it looks really nice, so that may be where I go. I was a little nervous. The little guidebook is beautiful. It's there's some embossing, which you can't really see on a video, but it's really, really beautiful. Gorgeous paper, and it's worth taking a look at, in part because there's a little bit of discussion of process and some nice acknowledgements in the back, but also because there's a couple extra cards in the deck that you'll want to know about. There's 2 extra cards, and I'll talk about them when I get there. So, lovely guidebook, nicely written, but what we're here to look at are these beauties. And this is absolutely a gorgeous, 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 gorgeous deck. And I don't even know if it will look as beautiful on my camera here. I'm again using my desk, my messy, messy desk, because of everything that's going on the reading table. So it's 2020 and I'm like going with the flow. So I would say, for anyone who wants a comparison, that this reminds me a bit of the Margareta Peterson deck. I mean, just sort of in terms of its in terms of its sort of the depth of its art style, and kind of and I guess what I mean is, like, if you like this, you'll probably like this a lot too. So Margareta Peterson's another deck I don't use as much as I should. This one I can say is probably absolutely going to be used like pronto. So here's the Fool. Now, one thing I really like about this, that I'm a stickler for being able to see what card I'm looking at immediately. First of all, for most of these, even though there's sort of an abstract style, I can tell for the most part. But there's it's probably not easy to see on the camera, but there is a number and a little icon. And there's this sort of interlocking sort of ring spiral for the trumps. And then there's a symbol for each of the suits. So this is the Fool. And This is the back. So there's a very sort of complementary color scheme. But as we go through the deck, you'll see that this scheme it's actually generally sort of much richer than this, but it's beautiful. This is the Magician. I think she calls it the Magus. And gosh, is it pretty. This is probably one of the best High Priestesses or Popesses I've ever seen in a modern deck. I think it's really breathtaking. I mean, I think the art in general is pretty breathtaking. This Empress is breathtaking. Here's the Emperor. And I like that the Emperor's fairly neutral, because you know how I feel about all the cards being equal and neutral and elastic. And this deck really celebrates, for me, that idea of elasticity, that idea of neutrality with the cards. You know, even the Hierophant. The Hierophant's never one of my favorite cards. Just in terms of, like, you know, if I have a bias against a tarot card, it's, for a lot of people, it's the Emperor. For me, it's the Hierophant. But this is just, again, it's just gorgeous. The Lovers. You know, if I had to pick a card I didn't like in the Trumps, it would be this one. But again, it's like, how could I not like this? You know, it's just, the richness is so beautiful. This is a beautiful Chariot card. The Chariot's my birth card, so I'm always sort of interested in that. And I mean, look how it radiates this sort of energy. I'm going to keep saying beautiful and gorgeous. You know, I mean, this strength is incredible. I love this Hermit. I mean, again, like, I think that the Lovers is probably my least favorite card, and that's saying something because I still love it, you know? Gorgeous Hermit. I mean, come on. Breathtaking Hermit. Oh my God. This might be the best Wheel of Fortune I've ever seen. I mean, it's not what I would immediately think of when I think of the Wheel of Fortune, but look at the color. I mean, God, breathtaking. Justice. This Hanged Man is incredible. I mean, oh my God. Just amazing. Oh my God. This is probably my favorite card in the deck. I think it is gorgeous, breathtaking, beautiful, all the adjectives. When I saw it, I gasped. And that's the thing with this deck, is I hadn't seen many of the cards. I've seen one or two on Instagram, but I hadn't really looked at the deck because I really wanted to see it when I got it. How beautiful is this Temperance? And you can see, like, these sort of transitions between these, like, dark, rich colors and these light pastel colors, and it goes that way through the whole deck. And what I noticed, here's the Devil, what I noticed when I sort of laid out, what I do a lot with decks is I'll just lay them out in 3 when I get it, shuffle it, lay it out in 3, is that I was actually noticing things about the cards out of order and in context of a spread that I wasn't noticing when I saw the cards and I walked through them just this way. So that's always a sign of a cool, exciting, and just great deck. The Tower is, again, beautiful. The Star and the Moon. I mean, they're just not words, right? Come on. How just astonishing is that? That's just one of the most beautiful star cards I've ever seen. This Moon is so great. This Moon card is actually what reminds me of the Margareta Peterson, I think, is what made me think of that. Like, there's something with the texture of this card that reminds me of that deck. And the Sun. And this Judgment card, again, breathtaking. And the World. I mean, I can't say enough about how just captivating this is. And then, so here's one of the extra cards. This is the Golden Fool, it's called, and it's card 22. Now, I don't usually leave extra cards in the deck. I might leave this one in, partly because I actually like it better than the original Fool card that is at the beginning of the deck. But let me just sort of give you a sense of what this says here from the little book. Here we return once more to the Fool, this time in his higher form of the Golden Fool. We have, of course, met the Fool earlier at the start of the tarot journey, the guileless soul with no comprehension of what lies in front of him and no memory of what lies behind. But here in the Golden Fool we encounter sublime wisdom, a joy and experience we all may emulate, and the emergence of a new transformative evolution of the human spirit. The Holy Fool, completes this human cycle of existence and moves on still further past full awareness. So, it sort of takes the Fool's journey and brings it back to the beginning. I like I said, I mean the Fool itself is really beautiful, but I just love the color of this. I mean, the sort of richness, but I don't know, I'm captivated by the idea of it, so I'll probably leave it in and just figure out how to work with it, and maybe we need 2 Fool cards. So now we get into the suits. This is the Ace of Fire, the Ace of Wands. So you can see down here at the bottom, there's a little flame and the number. And again, it's much easier to see in person probably than it is. I can't quite see because I'm using my phone, not the camera I usually use. The 2. So this is Rider-Waite Smith influenced, but again, there's this elasticity that I always appreciate. And so you don't, again, I have so many Rider-Waite Smith decks, like who needs another one that copies it exactly? So I love what I'm getting out of these. And just the vibrancy. I mean, look at this. So good. So beautiful. Oh my God. This might be my favorite suit, although I might say that about other suits as I go through, but just this like beautiful, beautiful, just richness and like energy in this painting is just, I mean, come on. This is like a real work of art. Not that other decks are, I didn't mean to like make it, but this is an exceptional thing. And again, I love when I can see the artist's hand at work, whether it's digital art or traditional techniques. And here you really can see the impasto in the cards, in the painting, which is like the texture of oil paints or paints in general on a canvas or on the surface. You can see the impasto, you can see the textures of the paint, which is just amazing. Just so good. So good. And then the suits, not the suits, the courts are page, warrior, queen, and king. And I would imagine that's in part just to make, because there's a little P for page, a W for warrior. So it differentiates, I would say, the knight and the king, KK, you know what I mean? But again, they're just beautiful. So there's 2 queens of wands or queens of fire. Principally because some folks don't like snakes. So this is the original one, and then there's this alternative one where she's sort of creating electricity, and obviously you can choose. I kept in the one that she intended because it was an intent, you know what I mean? But, and I'm not a fan of snakes, but this doesn't freak me out. And then there's the king. So now we move into water or cups. And again, I mean, there's only so many superlatives I can share. Just amazing work. Subtle and beautiful, and I think if you know your Rider-Waite Smith imagery, you're going to make these connections pretty easily without a lot of trouble. There are 1 or 2 where I had to say, what does that card look like in the Waite Smith? But, again, it's not a big jump. But do you see what I mean about I don't know if you can see it in the video, but the texture of the paint and the sky and the material is just very immediate and real, which is also a signal of a well photographed printed deck. There are 1 or 2 cards that look a little muddy, which I imagine is not intentional, but it's, it's slight. It just sort of, the sharpness of the images for the most part is very crisp. And there are 1 or 2 that look a little less crispy than the others. So, but you can see how the color scheme sort of evolves and moves from light to shadow to dark and rich and pastels, and I think it's just so amazing. That was the page. This is the warrior or the knight, the queen, and the king. And then here we move into air or swords. This is the ace. Amazing too. Gosh. This 3, I'm so happy that it's not a pierced heart. There is that energy, that quality in it, but it's not that. The 4. 5. 6. This was the one it took me a second to connect with person stealing the swords or sneaking away with the swords. But this art, I mean, I just, you know, can't, again, say enough about. So then we have the Page of Swords, the Warrior of Swords, the Queen, and then the King, and then finally we have coins or earth. So here's the Ace, the 2, the 3. This was another one. It took me a hot second to connect, but once I got it, I got it. There are the figures. So it's so yummy. It's the 5, the 6, the 7, 8. So some are a little more literal than others, obviously. 9, 10. And then the final court, the Page. This is one that it just felt like the photography might be a little mushier than the rest. Or maybe it might be the art. It just doesn't seem to have that same crispness. But the Warrior, the Queen, and then the King. So really breathtaking deck. I mean, just amazing. And it does riffle shuffle from side to side, which matters to me because I am a monster of riffle shuffling, and it just takes so much longer to overhand. Like, I do overhand too, but like just to get a good mix takes so long. I just, you know, because I'm not using my normal camera on my normal space, I can't kind of zoom out and do a big spread, but I'll lay some 3 cards out. Just didn't feel like moving everything to make a video. It's, you know, it's funny, over the years it's become such a process. It's like I went from just having a phone in my hand making a video to like then getting a tripod and then getting microphones and lights, and like there are some days where it's like the thought of how to set everything up is like, ugh. Who has the energy? And it's 2020 and like the world is falling apart. Like, I'm not gonna worry about aesthetics too much at the moment. I'll go back to that. And when I do readings for clients, I always make sure that everything's lit and clear and not on my messy desk. Yeah, but this shuffle's really, as I screw up the shuffle, this shuffle's really easily on the edge or the corner. Just so pretty. I mean, and so evocative, and just like when they sit next to each other, there's such a I don't know, it's like, it's one of those decks where you see it and you immediately want to read the cards and just take them out and shuffle them and, you know, work with them. And I do think, again, it's probably not easy to see, but the little numbers and symbols are really easy to pull out so you know what you're looking at. There's a little bit of glare from where I'm sitting that is not in your view, luckily. But it's like it's just like sort of having these paintings in your hand and then like getting to work with them. And I always talk about tarot as like this functional art or this practical art. And there's just something so cool to me about, you know, really great artwork. And I've been lucky to have a lot of great pieces of art in my tarot collection. But this is among them. So again, this is the Shimmering Veil Tarot by Scylla Conway. You can find it on her website, which is where I found it. And I'll try to link it below. And I hope you enjoyed this. This is just such, you know, just such a beauty. I mean, really, truly, it's just probably one of the most astonishing decks I've seen in recent times. So enjoy your day, stay healthy, wear your mask for fuck's sake, and take care of one another. Be good.